required to do, or at least in the when in the previous incarnation, that would be the physical classes when they were being held. So what kind of problems were given in the class as a say sort of as a gauge for class performance, how far you have learned or picked up certain things regarding AutoCAD. They were judged through these different practice sheets or problem sheets, whatever you say. And I'll show you the first one. Those of you who have got the software, you have the opportunity to try these out, and it's very good practice in order to learn or memorize certain things about or the commands that are there. But this is a very first problem sheet, so the problems that you will find there are quite simple. In fact, whatever we have learned previously, that is lines and circles from the draw panel, that would be good enough to, obviously, along with the concepts of O snaps and relative coordinate systems, that would be enough to complete all of these practice sheet problems. What I'm going to do is I will demonstrate one problem, that is solution to one problem, and I would hope that you would also take it up for practice as well in your own time. Without further delay, let me just share the screen. Tell me if you can see the screen now, because I have already shared it.
Yes, sir, visible.
Visible now. Okay, fine. By the way, I find 13 people here. Okay, so some of them have not joined. Anyway, uh, if they come later, I will let them in. But for now, let's start the recording. Okay, so recording has started. Let us now move over to AutoCAD 2020. Welcome to another class of computer-aided drafting. And today we will continue our discussions regarding certain basic drawing commands that are present in the draw toolbar. That is the first objective, of course. The second objective for today's class is to show you a simple problem sheet, the problem sheet 1, or you can call it practice sheet 1, with very simple problems based on the commands line and circle, along with, of course, the added knowledge of O snaps and relative coordinate systems. So without further delay, let us start with the command polyline. Now, in the previous class, I had explained line and circle. For today, we'll start with polyline. It works almost in the same way as a line command does, and you will see it here. So first of all, let us click the polyline command, and it says specify start point. So where do you start it from? So I'll start from arbitrarily any place in this drawing window. However, there is another possibility that you can provide an absolute coordinate over here and hit enter. That will also specify this start point. But for convenience, I'm going to click over here, and you can see that it has changed to, that the command prompt has changed to specify next point. So I'll put it here, and like that, specify next point, specify next point. Like that, I can continue. Once you have created this polyline, when you want to come out of it, hit enter or escape. That will complete the command. Now it completely looks like something that is drawn with the line command. In fact, I can create its alternative like this. I have now selected the line command. I click here, specify the points, and I have got this. So looks absolutely identical, similar, but there is a difference. What is the difference? Let us now discuss that. Was there somebody trying to get in? Somebody was there? Okay. So what is the difference between the two? If I bring my cursor over here, you can see that each of these individual lines are, means they are different. They can be selected separately. So if I bring my cursor over to these lines, you can see that they can be selected separately. And if I click here, you can see that I have selected the fourth line over here. I can individually select the first line as well. But that is not the case in case of a polyline. Polyline is a single object. Bring the cursor over here, anywhere over here, over this polyline, and you will see that it gets selected as a single entity. So that is the basic difference between line and polyline. There are other differences as well, and we will discuss about them. If you go for polyline, once you have specified a start point, you can see that there are few different options available to us here. One of them is arc. So if you select arc by clicking here or by writing the first letter of that command, which is shown in blue over here, that means to activate arc, I have to put in capital A over here and hit enter. Now you see that it has changed. Now it is going to draw an arc. It's not going to draw a line. So click, the arc is completed, then another arc like this. Now if I want to change back to line, that is also possible. Line option is available here. I can put L and hit enter. And you can see that now I can draw lines like this. You will also find another option which is called close. So if I click here or type in C, it will automatically close the polyline. That means from whichever point you are at, it will go back to the start point and close off that area. So that is the utility of the close command within polyline. Another advantage of polyline is that you can designate certain thickness for the lines within the command itself. So I'll select polyline again. I'll specify the first point, and you can see two options, width and half width. Obviously, half width will be half of the width that you want, that you have to provide here, and the width would be the required width of the line. So let's write W here. Oh, okay, sorry. I pressed a wrong key, so that's why it happened. So wait, I'll just click W here. So now you can see that specify starting width. Starting width you can specify. I can put it as, let's say, 5, and it will also ask for an ending width. If I put that, you can see the width of the polyline has changed. It is now a thick line. So that can also be done. It has got one utility, one very useful outcome of this particular option is that you can create arrows using polyline. How can we do that? Can go to polyline, specify the start point, press W, or you can click here. So specify starting width. I'll put it as 0. The starting width is 0, but the ending width I'll give as 5. So you can see that it creates a sort of triangle shape like this. I can give the length of this line. Let's provide it as 15. Again, I will go to W. Now the starting width will be 0 and ending width will be 0. And I can do this. That creates an arrowhead. So this is one advantage of polyline. Let me clear up this space just a little bit, and let us move forward to the next command. By the way, before we go to the next command, I can convert this polyline into its component parts. That means I can convert it back to its constituent lines. Suppose I want to select only one of the parts or one of the straight lines that constitutes this polyline. It can be done with the explode command. The explode command is in the modify panel. Under home tab, modify panel, this is the explode command, right below the erase command, which was discussed previously. So I'll use this command to break a compound object into its constituents or components. How is this polyline made? It is made with 4 straight lines. So if I use the explode command, which can be activated just by clicking on it, and then selecting the object, hit enter. Now you bring the cursor over, you see that these lines are now individual entities. They can be selected separately, as was done in case of these lines that were created using the line command. What if I want to convert these lines into a polyline? Just the opposite procedure. That can also be done. You can select, let's say I select these 3 lines, go to modify panel, and go to this option, which is called join. This is known as the join command. What does it do? It joins similar objects to form a single unbroken object. So click here. You can read this, that 3 objects converted to one polyline. So that means these 3 objects, these 3 straight lines are now converted to a polyline, which is a single entity. So that is the functionality of the explode command, which breaks the compound objects into its component parts, and join command, which actually joins similar objects to create a polyline. Join command can also be used to join 2 lines to get a bigger straight line, but that we will explain in a later class. So that's all about polyline, explode, and join. The next command that we'll talk about is arc, circular arc, and there are lots of options to create an arc. You can see in this flyout, there are probably 10 to 11 options present here. Simplest one is a 3-point arc. You need to provide 3 points as input to create the arc. So let's say we have these points already available to us, so let's use them. Specify start point of arc. So this is the start point of arc, second point of the arc, and I can specify the end point of the arc. So passing through these 3 points, I have created one circular arc. So that is the 3-point arc. Again, select it. First point, starting point, second point, and the end point. That is how a 3-point arc can be created. But there are other options as well. For example, start, center, end. So instead of 3 points on the arc, we are defining 2 points, the starting point and the end point. What is the third criteria? Third criteria is the center point of that arc. So let's demonstrate that. Here, I'm arbitrarily choosing 1 point. Again, I reiterate the point that if you know the absolute coordinates of these points, you can put them in the command prompt and hit enter to input those points. But the easiest way to explain here is just by clicking on the screen. So that is what I'm doing right now. So I have to specify the start point of the arc. I'll click here. Now I have to specify the center point. Always read the command prompt to get an idea of what input is required. So this is the center, and you can see now I can specify the end point of the arc depending on how I want it. So you can create an arc like this or an arc like this. Another one, start, center, angle. So I'll specify the start point. Next, I'll specify this center point. And now I have to provide the included angle. Let's say I have provided an included angle of 45 degrees. So I get this. So if I draw a line from here to here, this, you will get an angle over here. So that is how different arc options actually work. Some of these you can see that this is start, center, end, and right here you have center, start, end. So only the order of the points has changed, but the functionality would be the same. Similarly, you have start, end, radius here. You provide a start point, provide an end point, and you specify the radius of the arc, let's say as 25. Whatever. I have not taken the attendance yet, so don't worry. Even if you joined late, don't worry. So we were talking about arcs, start, end, and radius option. I'll specify the start point, specify the end point, and I have to specify the radius. So radius can be given like this, and I can use the control button to switch the direction. Press control, so it will go in the opposite direction. So if I click like this, that defines the radius. So various different options are available here. You might try it out. Due to time constraint, I cannot explicitly explain all of these options. So we'll move forward to the next command. Let's remove these to clear up the screen. And the next command is rectangle. It's a very simple command. You have to specify the first corner point at the beginning. So that's the first corner point. And you can see a preview of the rectangle has already appeared over here. So if you click at an appropriate point like this, so that will create the rectangle. But if you are to create a rectangle of a specific dimension, then of course you can resort to the relative coordinate system and provide it like this: at the rate 100 is the length of the rectangle, comma 70 is the height of the rectangle, the other dimension. Then press enter, and you can see that this rectangle has been created. Okay, let me do it again. We'll take rectangle, first corner point, and then you can provide the next corner point with the help of a relative command. But there are other options also available which are present in this within this square bracket. So you can provide the area and one of the dimensions of the rectangle, or you can explicitly provide the dimensions of the rectangle. You can also provide some rotation to the rectangle as well. So let's try out dimensions. Put D in. Now you can see that the command prompt reads specify length for the rectangle. So I'll give 100 again, press enter. Now specify width for rectangles. 50. Then you can see that this rectangle is created. But if I provide, let's first of all click the first point. If I provide the area option, I'll click here. It will ask for an area first. Let's say I've given it as 500 or 5,000. If you read the command prompt, it says calculate rectangle dimensions based on length or width. You have the option of providing any one of these. So I'll provide 250 as the length. Let's provide 100. So you can see that this is the same size rectangle as the previous one, because I have given a length of 100 and the height of 50. So this is how you can use the rectangle command. The final thing that I will show for the rectangle is the rotation option. Right, R here, and you have to specify the angle of rotation. I provide 45 degree. Now you have to provide the other corner point. For this, again, area option and the dimension options are open. So you can go for dimension B 100. It is not over yet. Why? Because at this rotated configuration, it is possible to get 4 different rectangles in the 4 quadrants, you can say. So which one do you want? You have to click to accept the final outcome. Next, the other option which is available along with rectangle is polygon. it creates an equilateral closed polygon. So let's see how we can do that. Select the polygon command. First of all, you need number of sides of the polygon. Let's start with a hexagon. Once I have provided the input of 6 as number of sides, now I am going to specify the center of the polygon. So this is the center of the polygon. I have clicked over here in this drawing window. You can provide absolute coordinate as well. Now it is asking for an option. There are two ways to draw a polygon with respect to a center. Here, the polygon would be drawn with reference to a circle. And the center that I have already provided is the center of that circle. Now, the two options are inscribed in circle and circumscribed about circle. So, you have to specify a circle with relation to which the polygon, in this case, the hexagon, is going to be drawn. Let's see these two options one by one. First is inscribed in circle. It is activated by providing or writing I here, or you can click in this inscribed in circle, hit enter, and you can see the preview of the hexagon has already appeared. But it is not fixed yet, not unique yet. Why? Because you are yet to specify the radius of the circle. Let's say the radius of the circle is given as 30 arbitrarily. And you can see that this hexagon is created. Now let's go for the other option. I'll select polygon again. The number of sides is 6. Center of the polygon, I will keep at the same level as this one. Let's say here. Now we select the other option, which is circumscribed about circle. So we'll put C. Enter. The radius was 30. Just as before, we have put it in, hit enter, and this hexagon is created. Apparently, it's quite clear that the two hexagons are of two different sizes. So what is actually happening here? How with respect to those circles, these hexagons are being drawn? To be more precise, what is the meaning of these two different options? Inscribed in and circumscribed about. Inscribed in actually refers to the polygon being created inside a circle in such a way that the vertices, these points of the polygon, hexagon in this case, would be on the periphery of the circle. Whereas for the circumscribed about option, the circle will be completely inside the polygon or hexagon in such a way that the edges of the polygon would be tangents to that circle. Can we demonstrate that? Of course. But for that, I'll need to locate the center of these two hexagons. You might say that we have already specified the center point, but that would not work here because the circle itself is not physically present. We have just specified its center, but the circle was not drawn. Hence, if I click O snap and try to snap onto that center point, that will not be available to me. So that is why I have to physically create this center point. So I'll select circle here, come to this center, and we remember that it was 30. The radius was 30. So I'll put 30. Now we can clearly see that this hexagon is completely inside the circle. That is why it is called inscribed in circle. And the vertices of this polygon is on the circle.
I can also draw the circle using the 3 points method, using 3 point circle.
Here, yes,
Yes,
of
sir.
course, you can
Yes.
draw. In this case, you can draw it like that. But I wanted to demonstrate that I had given a radius of 30 while drawing the polygon. So I'll also provide the radius option in case of drawing the circle. So that way you can make the comparison more clearly. It is also possible to draw with 3 points. For the next one, again, I'll repeat the procedure. Draw these two lines. Go for the circle. That is the center point. And the radius was 30 again. You can see that this is the scenario now. Circumscribed about means that the circle would be completely inside the polygon, or other way of saying the same thing, the polygon would be completely outside of the circle, in such a way that the sides of the polygon would be tangent to this circle. By the way, here do notice that this polygon is a single entity. So if I want to select one of the edges, one of the sides separately, individually, what am I going to do? Which option am I
Explode.
going to select?
Explode.
Explode.
I'm going to explode it. So if you select explode here, select this, hit enter. Now you see that these are individually selectable. The same option works for the rectangle as well. Let's say I have created this rectangle. It is coming in this skewed way or rotated way because it already has that 45-degree angle as default. If you want to change it, then after you have given the first point, go to rotation, that means R, and make it 0. Now it will be this. So you see that rectangle is also a single entity, and the explode command can also be applied on this. Hit enter, and now these are individual lines. I'll delete this. There is another option of creating the polygon as well. I'll select number of sides as 6. And this is the edge option. I'm not going to specify the center. I'm not going to follow the path of the circles. I'm going to use the edge option. Press E here, enter. Now, it is asking for the first endpoint of edge. You can provide it by clicking. Now, specify the second endpoint of the edge. Here you have to go for the relative command. So at the rate, let's say I want the length of the side to be 25, and it is oriented at a 30 degree, an angle of 30 degree. So if you do that, you get a hexagon like this. Here the edge, this edge, can say the first side is located or oriented at 30 degrees with the positive x-axis, and it has a length of 25 units, 25 mm. So these are the three options through which you can draw polygons. I have only explained in terms of hexagons, but of course you can go for other number of sides. What is the minimum number of sides that you can go for? Any ideas?
3.
It will be 3. You can, of course, draw rectangles with this option as well. 3, 4, 5, these are possible. And quite obviously, 2 is not possible because you cannot draw a closed area with the help of 2 lines. And what about the maximum one? Maximum number of sides that I can have in case of a polygon? Try to find it out.
Yeah, n number of sides.
N. What would be the value of n that you have to provide? You cannot just write n in the command prompt. When it
Yes, sir.
asks you for number of sides, you have to give something.
থিওরিটিক্যালি তো কিছু এরকম মেনশন করা নেই মানে কত
No, there is no theory behind it, but of course, if I provide a very large number like this, center of the polygon, I'm going to give here the circle is, provide the option, and the radius of the circle is almost looks like a circle. Probably you have to zoom in quite a lot to see all of the sides. There would be 1024 sides to what apparently looks like a circle over here. So that is the maximum limit, 1024.
1024 কেন মানে হচ্ছে বেশি দিলেও তো সার্কেলই লাগবে
It's kind of you can say the limits
binary
of the
naকি 2
software.
to the power 10?
It depends on the the software. Basically, that is the limit that is provided by the software. I have not checked for AutoCAD 2020, by the way. So this was for previous versions. You can check it out. Try to find out what would be the value for the 2020 version. 1024, I think, was for 2007 or 2012, those versions. But maybe this has now been advanced as well. So anyway, so this polygon option is understood.
Sir, if I want to if I draw the first type of polygon what you have drawn in the inscribed in circle, and I want to change that orientation of that polygon, is it possible, or I have to draw it by the edge method?
It is possible, of course, but in that case you would have to first draw the polygon, let's say the hexagon, and then you can use another command which is in the modified panel. You can see this rotate command. So once you have already created this polygon, then you can use this rotate command to move it to any orientation possible. You just have to provide the rotation angle.
Okay, sir.
Is it clear? Okay.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So I'll clear it up again. And next we move on to the ellipse. How can we draw an ellipse? It's very simple. There are two options that I am going to explain: center and axis end. In center, quite obvious that you have to specify the center of the ellipse. This is the center of the ellipse. Now you specify the end point of axis. You can do it by clicking, by designating a distance, or you can go for this relative option. You can provide the angle as well, so that gives you how this axis is going to be oriented. So that is done. And now you have to provide the distance to the other axis. We know that an ellipse has two axes, one major axis, the other one is the minor axis. So what we are doing through this process is designating the two axes, the distances or the lengths of the two axes. I can provide 20 here, and we can see that this is created. Similarly, in the axis end option, you have to specify the axis endpoint. So let's say this is the first endpoint and this is the other endpoint. You can see automatically the ellipse is now tilted. It is making some angle. The major axis is making some angle with the positive x-axis. Now the second thing is specify distance to other axis. Now I can just click here, means if I click like this, that would be the distance. I can get the same distance also by clicking here, because it is only going to take the distance. So if I write 20 here again, you see that the distance is taken up like this. Do notice that I did not write at the rate. It is only asking for the distance. Once you have fixed the major axis, then the minor axis is going to be always oriented at 90 degrees from that axis. So you just need to provide the distance, and that will create the ellipse.
Sir, what is the function of @?
Where?
Sir, while providing
this
the
command?
value, yes, sir, while providing the value, I mean, what is the
At the
basic?
rate, I have not provided at the rate. That is what I am saying. I have just written the numerical value.
Yes, sir, I just want to know the basic difference between providing @ and not providing the @ while putting the value.
Okay. Now you did you not attend the last class? This was
Sir,
explained.
actually, I couldn't recall, sir. I attended the
Okay.
class.
Okay. So we have two different kinds of coordinate systems, right? Uh, absolute and relative. So when we go for a relative coordinate system, you have to indicate to the software that you are actually going to provide a relative value, relative coordinate system value. So that is designated by the @ symbol, which means that if I draw a line like this is the first point. The next point, if I put @ now, it means that the reference point now becomes the first point. The first point here, the point that I have already selected, already clicked. Otherwise, if you are going for absolute coordinate system,
Hello, sir.
I also can't hear sir voice.
আমি ভাবলাম
স্যার
কানেকশন লস হয়ে গেল নাকি আমার।
আমিও তাই ভাবছিলাম।
तो বল স্যার মেনশন করতে বলে। ও সত্যম ফোন কর, কল কর।
सत्यम सर को फोन कर। এ জগদীশ আছিস? জগদীশ,
হ্যাঁ বল।
এই ম্যাটল্যাবটা ভাই কি সফটওয়্যার? আমি সে কালকে ট্রাই করলাম তো ইনস্টল করার, 4 ঘন্টা ধরে 35% ইনস্টল হলো। কালকে বন্ধ করেছিলাম, ফের আজকে সকাল থেকে ইনস্টল করছি। তোর এই 10 থেকে এখন বিকেল 3টে বাজে
তুই
53%।
তুই তুই উল্টাপাল্টা কোনো মানে প্রোডাক্ট সেট করেছিস কি? আমি বললাম কি স্টুডেন্ট ভার্সনের জন্য যেগুলো দরকার শুধু সেগুলোই সিলেক্ট
আরে
কর।
উল্টো পাল্টা কিছু করিনি, ওই যে 12টা ছিল সেই 12টা প্রোডাক্টই।
আমার তো 10 মিনিট না করে লাগছিল, ওগুলো মানে অনুযায়ী ভ্যারি করে, মানে ল্যাপটপ অনুযায়ী ভ্যারি করে। তো আমার তো 12 মিনিট লেগেছিল। তো আমি প্রথমে জানি না সবগুলো প্রোডাক্ট 112টা প্রোডাক্ট সিলেক্ট করে দিয়েছি। একটা দাদাকে জিজ্ঞাসা করলাম, দাদা বললো তুই সবগুলো কেন সিলেক্ট করেছিস? তো স্টুডেন্ট ভার্সনের জন্য যতটুকু দরকার ঠিক ততটুকুই সিলেক্ট কর। দিয়ে বললো অফিসিয়াল সাইটে দেয় যে স্টুডেন্ট ভার্সনের জন্য কোন কি কি প্রোডাক্ট আছে। ওই যা 12টা ছিল করেছি, ব্যাস ওইগুলোই হচ্ছে। ঠিক আছে, এখন তো বন্ধ করে দিয়েছি, ওই পরীক্ষার সময় বন্ধ করে দিয়েছি ম্যাটল্যাব শিখে। এখন আমি এই কদিন পর আবার চালু টালু করবো। ওই
আরে কিন্তু
কোর্সেরাতে যে
মানে এত টাইম লাগার তো কোনো মানে দাঁড়ায় না। তোর মানে বলছি না, সকাল 10টার সময় ইনস্টলেশন শুরু হয়েছে, এখন মানে বিকেল 4টে বাজতে এখন 53%।
হ্যাঁ, এত দেরি হওয়ার কথা নয়, কারণ আমি দেখেছি ওই তুই কি মানে অ্যাডিশনাল কোনো সিলেক্ট করেছিস স্টুডেন্ট
আরে
ভার্সন
না,
পরে?
বলছি তো 12টা প্যাকেজ ছিল, সেই 12টা প্যাকেজই, আর অন্য কোনো অ্যাডিশনাল ভার্সন কিছু সেভ করা নেই।
তুই ল্যাপটপের নিচে কোনো ইয়ে রাখ, মানে কোনো জায়গায় রাখবি না, নাহলে সেই গরম হয়ে যায় নিচটা প্রচুর, হাওয়াটা যেন ঢুকে ভাই দেখবি।
সেটাই তো ভাবছি, এত গরম হয়ে যাচ্ছে মানে।
ফ্যান ফ্যান ঘোরা আরম্ভ করে দিবে, ফ্যান যা ছিল গো গো করে শুরু করে।
আমি
না,
দেখি
আমি তো
বিকেলবেলা।
মানে আমি তো জানতাম না, আমি প্রথমে কি করেছিলাম বলতো, জানতাম না, সবগুলো প্রোডাক্ট সিলেক্ট করে দিচ্ছি, দিয়ে আমারও এরকম 1 ঘন্টায় 8% হয়েছে, আর সে গরম হয়ে গেছিল ল্যাপটপ দিয়ে, নিচে ফ্যান ঘুরছে। দিয়ে স্যারকে দাদাকে জিজ্ঞাসা করলাম, বললো
अरे सर
সবগুলো।
ज्वाइन करेंगे, अरे शांत रहो। सर ज्वाइन करेंगे थोड़ी देर में, उनका थोड़ा पावर कट हो चुका है।
হ্যাঁ ইয়ে
कितनी
জগদীশ
देर
কি
में
বল।
भाई?
बस
বল।
थोड़ी देर में।
এবার তুই যদি অ্যাডিশনাল সিলেক্ট করিস আমার কিছু বলার নেই, তাহলে নাহলে
অ্যাডিশনাল করিনি, বলছি তো অ্যাডিশনাল কিছু সিলেক্ট করা নেই।
তাহলে আজ রাত পর্যন্ত থাক। ওটা ল্যাপটপ অনুযায়ী ভ্যারি করে, তোর মানে এসএসডি আছে তো?
হ্যাঁ এসএসডি, এবারে তোর তখন তো এইচডি তে নিচ্ছিলাম, এখন এইচডি তে নিচ্ছি, আমি
স্যার
ভাবছি।
স্যার কি বললো ভাই?
ज्वाइन करेंगे, वो छोड़ो, तुम लोग एक बात करते हैं। अभी जो स्वप्नास मैम नहीं है, जो हमारी ऑर्डिनरी डिफरेंशियल इक्वेशन लेगी।
ভাই রেকর্ডিং অন है কিন্তু।
अच्छा, तो हम ही लोग देखने वाले हैं ना?
Can you hear me now?
यस यस सर।
Okay. There was a power outage in the department, so we lost the Wi-Fi. So I'm now connected through hotspot. Hopefully, there would be no problems. Can you see the screen, by the way? Is it visible?
নো।
Not yet, but it is shared.
Yes sir.
হ্যাঁ,
Yes,
Yes
sir.
now
Okay.
can see.
Okay. So we were discussing about the @ symbol, right? So we use the @ symbol in order to specify whether we are going for an absolute coordinate or a relative coordinate. So if you take a line, specify the first point, then it means that if I put @ here, it means that I'm not specifying the next inputs with respect to the origin. I'm specifying it with respect to the first point. First point means the first point of this line. So here if I write 25, that means along x-axis 25, and along y-axis, that will create a line like this. If I put @ again, that means now I'm not specifying with respect to the origin or the first point. Now I am specifying the next inputs with respect to the second point here. That means the end point of the first line. I can go for, say, 25 angle of 45. Oh, sorry. Enter. So that is the utility of the @ symbol. You designate it to, you designate relative coordinate inputs with respect to the @ symbol. Any other questions? Have you understood why @ is used?
Yes sir, yes.
Okay. Please refer to the previous lecture also. That will probably clarify the ideas a little bit more. Now, next, we will explain a command called spline. It is located over here. So in the draw panel, if you click this downward button, you will see a few more commands, which are probably not that basic in terms of drawing commands, but they are useful sometimes. And here you have this spline command. This is known as spline fit, and this is called spline CV. In order to explain that, let me just first of all create a few points. This option in the draw panel creates multiple point objects. You can see it here, the fifth one from the left on the first line. These can be used to create points. Now the problem is the points have been created. On each of the clicks, a point has been created. If I do like this, you can see these points indicated here and selected like this. But they are not properly visible. So that is a problem. So there is a command to change the display of these points, and it is known as p-type. P-T-Y-P-E. So write p-type in the command prompt, hit enter. The point style window will open up. And as you can see, the first one of these point styles is selected, which is simply a point, and that is not clearly visible in this drawing space. So we can change the point style to something like this. You can also change the point size, but that we will not do at this time. So I have changed the point style to something like this, press OK, and now you can see the points in this drawing window. So that is how you can change the point style. So if I go here again, go for multiple points, now the points that I will create will be showing the style that I have just now selected. You can go for other point styles as well. That depends on your choice. With respect to these points, I can now explain this spline command. Spline basically draws a smooth curve passing through given points. So these are the points that I will use to draw this. Sequentially select these different points like this. And you will get a smooth curve passing through all of these points. So this is basically a spline fit. I'm fitting a smooth curve through all of these points. If I change the, let me just select this spline, delete it. If I change the sequence, obviously the spline is going to be something different. Maybe I can create something like that. So that is how this spline command works. There is another spline command, which is spline CV. It is not that useful in our case, so I'll not be explaining it in detail. But what happens here is that it does not pass through the points. It creates a kind of best fit curve through these, like that. So you can see that it probably goes very close to these points, but not through the points. So that is spline CV. But for our case, obviously, this spline command that creates smooth curves through given points is very useful. By the way, I do not need to create these points even beforehand to make the spline command work. This I have done in order to demonstrate it in a clear way, in a better way. I think I can simply designate points by clicking on the screen, and that would create also a smooth curve like this. That is this spline. Can you think of any application for this in terms of engineering drawing? Have you used smooth curves previously in your engineering
Sir,
drawing
in
classes?
French substitute of French curves,
Substitute of?
French curve that we use in manual drawing.
Yes,
Yes, sir.
absolutely.
French curve use.
That is one. Another one is, have you drawn engineering curves? Have you drawn spirals,
Yes, sir.
স্পাইরালস বলতে আমরা
cycloids?
ওই ইলিপস হাইপারবোলা এগুলো করেছিলাম, সাইক্লয়েড এগুলো করেছিলাম।
Cycloid করেছিলে?
হ্যাঁ স্যার,
So
সাইক্লয়েড।
cycloid can be drawn. In cycloid, what do? You get a set of points. By some means, through some geometric construction, you get a set of points. And through those set of points, you draw a freehand smooth curve. So now that can be replaced in this AutoCAD version by the spline option. You can use the spline to join those different points that you have obtained from some geometric construction and get a smooth curve through all of these points. You can create a cycloid or maybe an involute, or it could be logarithmic spiral, Archimedean spiral, any kind of smooth curves, the engineering curves that you want, you can create by using this spline option. So it's a very useful option. So that almost brings us to the end of discussions regarding the draw panel.
স্যার ওই স্প্লাইং অপশনটা আর মানে কোথায় আছে আরেকবার দেখিয়ে দিন না, ওই
Okay.
খুঁজে বের
Okay, the spline option can be found in the home tab, draw tool, the draw panel. Click on this draw panel. Below the draw panel, you will see a downward facing triangle sort of thing. It's kind of an arrow. So if you click that, this flyout option will open up with all the different advanced drawing options. The first one here is spline fit. This is the one that you would require. Okay.
হ্যাঁ স্যার খুঁজে পেয়েছি, ঠিক আছে।
ইয়েস স্যার।
Okay.
স্যার আমি
Let me
বলছি,
হ্যাঁ বলো।
ওই আপনি যে পয়েন্টের স্টাইলটা চেঞ্জ করলেন, ওটার কমান্ডটা কি ছিল? পি ছিল, পি দিয়ে স্টাইল।
P type.
আচ্ছা আচ্ছা,
PTYPE. P type.
ওকে স্যার।
I'll do it again. PTYPE. Hit enter. You will get the point style window.
Sir, what is the recommended point style?
There is no recommendation as such. There is no recommendation, depends on personal choice. But if you want to say take a printout of your drawing, then obviously I would suggest that go back to the point style of the default, that is a point. Because otherwise, if you have all those points indicated by some other kind of style, it sometimes makes the drawing clumsy. That is only one recommendation that I have, that for printouts or final drawings that you want to save as a PDF or take a printout of, in that, go back to the point style of default. Otherwise, you can keep any one of them. Okay. The final command in this draw panel is something called divide, and that is available here. So it creates evenly spaced points in a line or an object. Let me just draw a line here first, a simple line. Right, provide 100, angle is 0. I'll also create this circle with radius of 40. I want 5 equal parts, and I also want to divide this circle into 6 equal segments. I can do that with respect to this divide command. I'll select divide, and it says that select object to divide. I'll select this line. Enter the number of segments. I want it be divided in 5 segments. So I'll hit enter, and you can see that it is now divided into 5 segments: 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. I'll do it again. Where is this divide option? Divide command, draw panel. In this draw panel, click the downward button, flyout will open. Here you have the divide option. Go for the divide option, select the object, and then enter the number of segments. Press enter. You can see that it is now divided into 6 equal segments. So that is how you utilize the divide option. There is also another draw panel command which is known as hatch. Using this hatch, you can provide certain hatching marks in case of closed area like this. By clicking inside the closed area, you select that area. If you have already done sectional views, sectional drawings, then you know the utility of this hatch. But this will be explained in a much more detailed way in later classes. So right now, just remember that there is also another useful draw command known as hatch in this draw panel that we will discuss later. Any questions from this, from today's demonstration?
স্যার এই হ্যাশটা আরেকবার একটু দেখো।
Hatch we will discuss in detail later on.
Sir,
তোমরা sectional drawing করেছো?
Yes sir.
Sectional views, sectional drawings.
Sectional drawings বলতে I guess no sir.
Sectional,
no sir, sectional drawings I don't.
not done.
Yes
Okay.
sir.
Okay,
So
sectional
is
views
it a
not
part
yet.
of machine drawing?
Yes.
Yes sir. We are
No,
having
sir.
we are having
No.
this in our current semester sir.
We are having
In the
this in the
current semester. Okay.
Yes sir.
So the thing is that you take an object, you want to show the internal say features of that object. So you take an imaginary plane and you cut the object through it and remove the portion that is between the object and the viewer. So what happens is that its internal details, internal features are revealed. So that is known as a sectional view. You have made a section of the object and you are showing the internal view, the internal features. You know that in engineering drawing, we show hidden features, features that are not directly visible, which are not visible to our eyes. We show it through hidden lines, isn't it? Dashed lines.
Yes sir. Dash line.
হ্যাঁ
So if you want to convert that dashed line to a solid line, what you can do, you can cut the object and remove the part which is in front of you, so that you can now see the inside of the object. That is what is meant by sectioning. You take a section of the object. So obviously, if you are doing machine drawing in this semester, it will be dealt with in quite a bit of detail. And there, hatching has got a specific part to it. That is why I said that it will be discussed later on. Once you have completed or covered some basic part of the sectional drawings, sectional views in orthographic projections, then we will come back to this topic.
স্যার বলছি যে যখন ওই মানে ওই স্প্লিট দেখালেন যেগুলো সেগুলো তো ওই মানে হ্যাঁ ওই টাইপে কিওয়ার্ড আর ফ্রেজ ওখানে তো মানে ক্লিক করলে তো কিছু পাবো মানে যদি কিছু নাম মনে পড়ে ধরুন
বুঝতে পারলাম না, আরেকবার বলো।
মানে ধরুন কোনো একটা ধরুন জিনিস কিছু মনে পড়লো না তো মানে ওই যে টাইপে কিওয়ার্ড আর ফ্রেজ ওখানে তো মানে ক্লিক করলেই তো মোটামুটি পেয়ে যাবো কিছু একটা মানে ওই সম্বন্ধে
I'm not getting the question. You are saying that if I click here, if I write
No, sir.
something over here,
নো স্যার ওই আপ সাইডে যে টাইপে কিওয়ার্ড আর
so
ফ্রেজ একদম
I start to write a command.
না না স্যার, ওই একদম উপরের দিকে টাইপে
let's
কিওয়ার্ড
say
স্পেস।
rectangle. So
He is telling about
I
the
go on writing like this,
no
you
sir,
can
he's
see that the preview appears over here. So rectangle, these are all different options for drawing the rectangle. These are options for the rectangle command. So you can understand it from the preview as well, what kind of command you want to provide. So you can see that it brings up the rectangle command. Is that clear? Means, is that what you wanted to know? I
sir,
did not get your question.
I think you were saying about the above the panel window there is an option type a keyword or phrase. He is, I think, say
Okay. Here, this is the help option. This is the help option. Yes, if you type in anything over there, if it is a valid word in the say, let's say, universe of this AutoCAD software, you will get some details, some documentation about it. Okay. Next, what we'll do is we'll take a look at a problem sheet, a practice sheet. This is a practice sheet for the subject of computer-aided drafting. And you can see here that some very simple, you can say, objects are given here. The task is to replicate them using AutoCAD.
Sir, how can you dimensions this, sir?
Dimensioning is a very critical part of engineering drawing, and it will be covered in quite a lot of detail, probably in the next, not in the next class, because in the next class I will be taking up the modify panel. After that, dimensions will be covered, how you can provide dimensions.
তাহলে আমরা শুধু এই কাজটা করব মানে উইদাউট ডাইমেনশন, মানে শুধু রেপ্লিকেটটা করব।
If you want to practice these things, then for now just create the object. You do not have to provide the dimensions. Dimensions you can provide.
And so
later.
how can we predict the line width, sir?
That will also be a topic of a future lecture. Right now I do not want to give you too much information because that might get confusing. Right now you just stay with the draw commands, next the modify commands. After that I will share with you two pre-recorded videos, and in those videos I will discuss about the layers option, where you can control these different say properties associated with different lines, such as the line thickness or the line color or line type. You can see that
Sir,
there are
you have previously seen that how to change the line width.
yeah that is one option, but the more systematic option would be to go for layers. You can change line width from the by layer option or line width option, which is given there. What I have shown you is simply changing it in the line width option, but you can also go for the by layer option. Means you create a layer where if you draw any line, that will be of a specific line width. But anyway, that is a future topic that we will discuss later. Also, dimensioning will be covered in quite a bit of detail. If you want, I can share those recorded videos with you maybe in the next week. In that case, you will have to listen to that video, around 20-25 minutes long, both of them, and then we can come to class and discuss about different say details about those things, and if you have any doubts we can talk about those things. Okay, Now, let us come back to this problem sheet. If you want to draw this object, what you are going to do? You have to start from some specific point. It is better to start with a known point. So you can start from this point, or this point, or this point. This one is not known. So we cannot start from that point. By the way, here I would like to mention that there are multiple ways of drawing this. There is no unique way or only one correct way of drawing this object. It's a simple object. There would be different ways to accomplish that. I'm just going to show you one of the ways. You can explore the other possibilities as well. One more thing to mention here is that all the dimensions in this sheet are given in centimeter. So when you draw in AutoCAD, a simple conversion is required because you are going to be using millimeter units in AutoCAD. So 1.5 centimeter means 15 millimeters, 3.5 means 35, 4 means 40, 2 means 20, like that. So this simple conversion you have to.
Sir, can I change the AutoCAD default?
No, don't do that. Don't do that.
Okay, sir.
Don't go away from millimeters. It is going to cause a problem later on. Okay. So let's start from maybe this point and draw this line first. What should be the command for this? Can anybody tell me? If I want to draw this line.
@40
একটু ইয়ে করুন, ওই পয়েন্ট করুন কোন লাইনটা বলছেন?
This one. I have already mentioned. This line. Can you see?
Yes, sir. @40.
@40 angle 0.
Is it 0? Angle should be 0 if I start from this point.
180.
So 180.
Angle should
Also,
be.
I did not hear the points. Sorry.
Okay, no problem. So that's what we'll do. We'll arrive at this point. To draw this downward line, this line, we can write @
3
35.
So minus
Sorry.
90.
It is minus 90
or
270.
270. So you arrive at this point, and then you draw this with similar command to the previous one, @40 angle 0. So you now come to this point. Now we hit a problem. The problem is we know the angle. The angle is 45 degrees. So that's fine. But what about this length? The length is not known. You can calculate it, of course, because the angle is given. We know this is 35. So what should be the half of it? So you get to know this, and then you can, from your knowledge of trigonometry, get this value. But is there any other way? Simpler way, without the calculations? Of course there is. I can make this construction.
ওয়াইটা বলতে পারো, ওয়াইটা হচ্ছে মানে সিকোয়েন্স।
These two lengths would be same. So this is delta x. If I want to go from here to here, this is delta y. So I have the Cartesian relative command of @delta x, delta y. And in this case, delta x is equal to delta y because this angle is 45 degree. And what is this delta y? This is 35. Half of it is 17.5. So quite simply, I can write @17.5, 17.5, and I will get this line. Once I have got this, then it's pretty simple. I just need the O snap and the end option to be selected to close this thing off. So let's try it out here. I'll select line. I'll start with @40 angle 180. then go down at the rate 35 angle 270 or minus 90. Now at the rate 40 angle 0. I've arrived at this location. Now to draw the inclined line, I'll get this command 17.5 comma 17.5, and then you join it up. What about this circle? I need to locate the center point of this circle. The dimensions are provided, so locating the center point would be quite easy. From this midpoint, I'll join this. From here to here, those two midpoints I will join, and their intersection would give us the center of the circle. The circle diameter is 15 mm. So take the circle, go here. I have to provide the radius 7.5. That creates the object
So
that we
how
were
to
looking for.
construct that dashed line, sir?
Dashed lines can be constructed from here. This is known as line type. Okay. Now you can see that only continuous is available here. So you go for the other option. It's not available here. So you have to load it up. Go to load. And here you can see all sorts of line options, line type options available to you. So I can select ISO dash, press OK, press OK. So now here is this option available here. If you click it, this is now active. Go to line, and you can draw dash lines like this. But it is again better to control this with respect to layers, not by changing it from these properties options. Okay, so you keep it continuous or keep it by layer. We will talk about how to create layers, how to designate properties for those layers later.
And set the line width of the picture. How can we have to guess it that that is not mentioned 0.15 or 0.3?
Not yet. It is not mentioned. It is not mentioned as yet. In when we go for advanced kind of drawings, when we go for the layer options, then we will mention what would be the line thickness. Is that clear? One
Yes,
more
sir.
thing I want to mention here is that how to save your drawings. It's a trivial thing, but people tend to neglect it and forget it, and hence that creates a problem of losing of data. The first thing that you should do is go to this option, go for save as. Drawing files are saved as .dwg files in .dwg file format. So click this, go to the designated location. You can create a folder for this. I'm for now going for the desktop option. You should not save it in the desktop. You should create a separate folder in one of the drives and save all the work over there. So I'll write PS1, that is problem sheet 1, problem 1. Save it like that. So you can see that this drawing is saved. I'll remind you again that always create a folder, probably with the date when you are working, and in that folder save everything that you have worked on. So I'll circulate this sheet, practice sheet, with maybe 6 or 7 problems that are there to you in the Google Classroom. Please go through them. If required, in the next class also, I can draw maybe 1 or 2 of these different drawings for demonstration and explanation. But I think it would be manageable with whatever we have discussed up to now. So all these things you can draw using the knowledge that you have gathered in this computer-aided drafting class. Any further questions?
মানে জাস্ট ছবিটা আঁকতে হবে তো নাকি?
At the moment only the figures, no dimensioning required.
Okay.
No need to change the line types, no need to go for center lines or dash lines, only the figure. Okay, those who do not have laptops, computers, or working software, you also should take a look at these problem sheet and the problems that are given here and try to work it out. Means just like I did here, try to think what would be the different commands, line commands for drawing these different lines. Write them out here or maybe in a copy. That would probably clear up some confusions as well. So that's it in terms of today's class. We have discussed about quite a few different draw panel options, and I hope the explanation has been clear enough, demonstration has been clear enough for you to understand it. Thank you. Any other questions? If you have anything to discuss. বোঝা যাচ্ছে তো, সাবজেক্টটা বোঝা যাচ্ছে তো?
হ্যাঁ স্যার।
Okay.
Yes.
ইন্টারেস্টিং স্যার।
কতজনের কাছে ল্যাপটপ নেই এই মুহূর্তে? I have seen the Excel sheet, that means the survey sheet that I have generated. I have seen few people, I think, do not have the software. For them, what is to be done? Those who have the software, no problem, they can practice. যাদের কাছে নেই তারা কি করবে? একটা জিনিস ভেবে দেখতে পারো যে পেয়ার করে নিলে, যার কাছে নেই তার বন্ধুর সাথে একসাথে বসো, বন্ধু যখন প্র্যাকটিস করবে বা অটোক্যাড খুলে কাজ করবে, share your screen with the person, friend who does not have the software. দুজনে একসাথে করার চেষ্টা করো, try to explain who is doing it, try to explain what you are doing, and the person who is seeing it should also ask questions of how he is doing it. এটা আমি একটা জিনিস সাজেস্ট করতে পারি, I don't know whether you will follow it, but maybe this could be helpful. Okay, so that's all for today. If there aren't any more queries, I can end the class for today.
ওকে স্যার।
Okay, and I will see you next week, first of all, for the numerical analysis class, and then again on Wednesday for the computer-aided drafting class. Thank you. Okay, by the way, one more question.